right, shalom, shalom. It's Brother Yatazadak here of Israel. We're back once again with another live lesson, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, right? We are the Hebrew Israelites, right, that the Bible speaks of. Great millstone, Hebrew Israelites. You can find us on YouTube, right? Via the highways and byways, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Right, the Most High God's name is Yahweh, not Jehovah. It's not Yahuwah. It's Yeshua, Yahweh. Abba Hashem means in the name Yahweh Shai, Hamashayak, so you call Jesus Christ. Right? Not Joshua, not Jeshushua, Yahushua, Yahweh Shai, Hamashayak. Right? So we're out here doing another live. Right, Lord willing, you're edified. Today we're going to go into Jeremiah chapter 1, going into the Hebrew. Right, so let's get right into it. Right, as you can see, we have the table of nations. Right, starting off with the nation of Israel, which are the Israelites, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Right, of indigenous Negro and Taino descent. Right, now we look like other nations because we have took wives of the other nations in times past. So our children have taken on their characteristics. Right, which is why scriptures say that Jake is, which that's short for Jacob, the forefather of 12 tribes. They say Jake is shall dwell amongst many waters, right? And Jake has taken on their children, the characteristics of the other nations, because they took wives of the other nations, right? But the seed is according to the seed of the father. Numbers chapter 1 and 18, right? Right. So the Israelites, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, right? And we are in America, Babylon the Great, right? Revelation 13 and 16 says he calls it both small and great, rich and poor, to receive the microchip, right? And these things are written to come to pass, right? World War III, which is also known as the Third Woe, and the Book of Revelation martial laws will eventually come into effect. FEMA camps, right? The Most High God pouring down his wrath upon the heathens, right? And 2/3 of you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, which will be coerced into taking the RFID chip, right? Um, so these things are written to come to pass, and the day is hastening, the day of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the day of the Lord, which is darkness and not light, right? The heavens being rolled together as a scroll, right? That's talking about the thermonuclear fire, the missiles that the Lord is going to bring to America, Babylon the Great. The Gog and Magog, Russia, China, Iran, right? All these conglomerates, right? Which will make war with the beast, right? So anyways, right? So you got, like, yeah, you got the nation of Israel. As you see, we got the table of nations, right? We got the understanding, which is why we give double honors to our elders and apostles, a great millstone, right? Hebrew, right? Israelites, which is in the ancient Hebrew tongue, Ibaria, Salakia, Yasharala Yah, right? The small hats, they call themselves Israelis. That's actually, in the Hebrew, it's Yasharala Yah, which means, it just means, so Israeli means Israelite, right? But it's just, they say it, according to the the Yiddish, right? And now some of our people are scattered amongst the small hats, right, of Israel, right? but for the most part, those are heathens in our land, right? Our holy land, Jerusalem, right? You got, like I said, other nations. You got Arabs. Some of our people of the Philistines or the Palestinians. Some of our people are mingled amongst them, right? But the majority of Jake that'll get delivered by Yahweh Shemel Shai is in America, Babylon the Great, right? Which before the thermonuclear fights, you're gonna have the chariots, which are the holy angels, UFOs, so-called UAPs, according to Scripture, which will deliver the elect, which is the remnant of the nation of Israel, right? Delivered at the last trump, right? Like Scriptures say, and so these things are written come to pass, right? And so you got, let's see, Israel Yasher Allah, like I said, you know, the real God's chosen people, God's true chosen people are actually in the Western world currently under subjugation via Esau Edom, which is so-called white man, right? The twin brother of a man named Jacob. Scriptures say Genesis 25 and 25 says he came out all red like a hairy garment. Isaac, right? The father of Esau and Jacob, which in the regeneration, that's actually that was Yahweh Shai coming in the flesh, right? If you understand reincarnation, right? He came as Adam, he came as Solomon, right? So on and so forth, right? So you have Israel, Yashar'Allah, which are the 12 tribes. You have the so-called white man, which is his name is Edom, right? Adawam meaning red, right? Uh, the so-called East Indians, Elam, Ayalam, you got, and so on and so forth, right? I'm just going to touch on some of these. The Arabs, they are the so-called Ishmaelites, right? Ishmael, right? And that's in the scriptures, which is Yashamai Allah. You have the so-called Chinese, Mawa'aba, so-called Japanese, Wan, which is Ammon, Moab, right? You got the Cushites, the Mizraim, Put, Canaan, which are the Ham, right? And so on and so forth, right? But anyways, we're going to get into the lesson at hand, right? Started in the book of Jeremiah. And Lord willing, you're edified through the power and spirit of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakak Wadash, and double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, anyways. Let's get started. Now I know I was working a little bit on the book of Isaiah, right? But recently I've been meditating on the book of Jeremiah and going over the Hebrew. So I'm just gonna start chapter 1, and eventually I'll finish the book of Isaiah, Lord willing, and the other books in the Hebrew. If you go to my channel, I got some in I went into Proverbs, Genesis, Deuteronomy, so on and so forth. But anyways, so the head of this chapter says Jeremiah's call and commission, right? Which so we're going to start at verse 1, Jeremiah 1 and 1, which reads the words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priest, which were in Anathoth, in the land of Benjamin, right? So Jeremiah was a Levite, right? So it says, which they dwelt in the land of Benjamin, right? It says the words, or Salaki, Dabaria, Yoram Yahweh, Ban, Halak Yahweh, Man, HaKahanyam, Ashar, Ba Anathath, Ba Ratazah, Ban Yaman. And this is a fairly simple chapter. I mean, it's nothing really super deep, right? It's not always super deep. It's not always, you know. So it says, verse 2 says, which came to pass, the word of the Lord unto him in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah, and the third and the third and the 13th year, which is that word Bashalash, Asherah, Shalash meaning 3, Ishar meaning 10, right? Which the ha at the end makes it in a feminine sense, right? Without the ha, it's masculine, right? So it says in the 13th year of his reign, right? So you have Achad, which is 1, Shanya, 2, Shalash, 3, Arabai, 4, Arbai. You have Hamash, is 5, Shash, 6, Shabai, 7. You have 8 is Chamna, 9 is the Shai, and 10 Ishar, right? And also the Hebrew letters represent numbers as well, right? So you have Abba, Gada, Ha, Waza, Chataya, Kalamanasa, Apataza, Warashata, which is the whole of the Hebrew alphabet. But you have Abba, Gada, Ha, Waza, Taya, which Ya is 10. So from A to Ha, that's 9. Ya is 10, and then Ya'ah would be 10. 10, 1, which is 11. Yaba, Yaga, Yaba would be 12. Yaga, 13. And so on and so forth, which would be Yakala, Manasa, Apataza, which goes from 10 to 90. Taza, Kwa represents 100, right? But anyways, so it says Ashar, Haya, the bar, Yahweh, Al Yahweh, Ba Yamya, Ya'ash Yahweh, Ban Amen, Malak Yahweh, Bashalash, Asherah, Shana, La, Malakwa. Verse 3 says, and it came to pass in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, Salakia, even until it was completed, the 11th the 1/10th year, which is Ashathia Asherah, which means 11, right? Um, right. Now that word thumb means wholesome, but also means um astonished, to be astonished, or desolation, right? Sometimes written as shum or shama, right? Uh, or sometimes it's written as thumb or thama. But anyways, so it says, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, even until the removal of Jerusalem in the month the fifth, right? Which is Hamyashia, right? Which is an adjective ordinal, right? So we went over the cardinal numbers. These are the ordinal numbers, right? 1 to 10, and then you have first, uh, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th, which is just simply um, what is it called? Here, let me get that real quick. Actually, I'm not gonna look up that word, but I'll do a lesson on this on the numbers and such, Lord willing, another time. So let's see. So fifth would be Kamyashia, right? Now I can just go over it real quick. Actually, um, I was going to pull up the chart, but I'll just go ahead and give you the skinny on the matter, right? Like to say in the world. So you have Akkad, which is first, Shanya second, uh, Shal Shal um, what is it? Shaliashia third, fourth is Rab Yaaya, uh, fifth Hamyashia, sixth would be Shashia, uh, seven is Shabya Aya, uh, eight would be Ham uh man, just left me. Um, so I did six, I did seven, eight, which would be Shum. Let's get that real quick. Let me just look it up. Just had a brain freeze. Let's see. Salakia. Right. So first, Ra'ashan. Right. So it's not a Kad Salakia. This is why it's good to revisit these things. You know. But anyways, 8 would be Shamyanya. 9th would be Thash Ya'aya. And 10th would be Ash Yarya, right? So you have right that you see the yad is inserted in between the word, which is in that's affix, right? You have prefixes like for example heavens is Shamayim, meaning pertaining to the heavens. Or you have la cum or lahum, meaning to them or for them, right? Or you have say, and then you have suffix, which would be like atha means thou or you, or unto thee would be athaka, right? The ka is a suffix. So you have prefixes, you have suffixes, and you have affixes, which are letters inserted in the middle of a word and modifies word, which is why you have, for example, ha mashayach, which is the anointed, right? Salakia. I did not mean to click on that. But anyways, you get the point. Anyways, we're gonna move on. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Salakia. Just bear with me 1 second. Salakia means forgive me. All right. Just trying to get situated. Salakia. So let's see. Forgive me. Right. So Galath, right? That simply means to remove, to uncover, and also used in a variety of applications. So it says, Wa Yahaya, Bayamya, Yahweh, 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 Yaquayim, Ban, Yaash, Yahweh, Malak, Yahweh Ad Thum, Ashatya, Asherah, Shana, La Tazadak Yahweh, Ban, Yaash Yahweh, Malak, Yahweh Ad Galath, Yerushalayim, Bachadash, Ha Chamyashya. So Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah, he prophesied till the removal of Jake to captivity, right? But I'm just gonna fly through this chapter, you know. Um, so verse 4 says, "And came to pass the word of the Lord unto me to say, Wayahai the bar Yahweh Aliyah La Amar." Verse 5 says, "Before I formed thee in the womb, I knew thee, and before thou came out from uh, the womb." So yeah, the first time I said womb, that's actually belly, which is batan, meaning belly or stomach. It literally means stomach, right? Uh, so raham meaning means mercy, but that's just another way to say womb, right? Says, "I sanctify thee uh, to be a prophet unto the nations. I have appointed thee," right? Reads Bataram, Atazaraka, Babatan, Ya Ya Yadath, Ya Yadai, Dayaka, Yadaath Yaka, Salakia, Wa Bataram, Tataza'a, Maraham, Ha Quadash, Dayaka, Nabaya'a, La Gwayam, Nathath Yaka, Salakia. Verse 6 says, "And I said, Aha, O Lord God, behold, I am not knowledgeable to speak because a child am I," which is not, that word doesn't actually mean child. Now, R means young man, right? Or Nayara, which makes it feminine form, which is young lady, right? And which the actual word for young man is Ilam or Ilama, young lady. This would actually mean like adolescence in the sense of an adolescent. It says here, from the age of infancy to adolescence. Sometimes it's used to denote a servant, a damsel, right? Na'ar. In the Strong's Hebrew concordance, they had it right, actually, right? For once. It's usually like some kind of bugged out pronunciation, right? Near, right? But, you know, they got it. It says Na'ar, right? And, you know, it's a hit or miss with the blue letter. You know, we're not taking away, right, what the blue letter gives us, right, because it's a beautiful thing, right, which our elder apostle Tahar, right, he's the one who came up with the blue letter, right, going into it. That was his thing. Then you had other camps follow suit, right? Bishop Nathaniel, um, you have Bishop, the other bishops in IUIC, they go into the blue letter here and there, and other camps, you know. So, anyways, so it says, Wa Omar Aha Adanya Yahweh Hana La'a Ya Da'ath Ya Da'ath Ya Dabar Kaya Na'ar Anakya. Verse 7 says, He said the Lord unto me, not say, I am a child am I, because upon all which I send thee out, thou shalt go, and to all that which I command thee, thou shalt speak, which is Waya Amar Yahweh Aliyah, Al Ta'amar, Na'ar, Anakya, Kaya, Al Kal, Ashar, Shalakha, Tala, Wa'atha, Kal, Ashar, Atazaka, Dabar. So basically, the Lord told the prophet Jeremiah, I'm not trying to hear it. Whatever I command you to speak, that thou shalt speak. Right? Just like Moses, when he spoke unto the Lord, he said, I'm not a learned man, I'm not a wise man. Right? And that represents us as well. Right? Because we're, and the prophets, the apostles of old, they were considered, that's in the New Testament. Right? The Pharisees called Yahushua's disciples unlearned men. Right? Not because they were stupid, right? But because the Pharisees had created basically doctrine upon doctrine and doctrines within doctrines, right? And they added to the word, right? Traditions via traditions and so on and so forth, right? And another example is Paul the Apostle. He would uh he would say he would tell particular churches, I'm not going to pull up the precept, but he would say things like we preach Hamashiach crucified, right? And that's all. And when we come onto thee, we will expound in a greater matter, right? So that was the command he was given, right? Um, he was given that command, and that's what he said. He said, when we go to meet you, and we'll expound more on as far as the understanding, and right. So that was the order, right? So there's order to this thing, you know. You can't just come in like the apostles say, gun ho, right? Just because you learn a couple precepts or you watch a couple videos or you've been in the truth a year or 2 years. Me personally, I hopped on it quick. As far as getting the breakdowns and you know um trying to sway away from these like Elder Pastor Har says that 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 um that that parakeet spirit, you know, just reiterating what the elders went over, right? And there's times I stand corrected, for example, when I spoke about the Medes, and this is part of like it says in Book of Proverbs, reproofs and instruction on the way of life, right? Which the Medes are actually the the Japhites, right? Which are they were the land of Europe was their land originally, and Esau and came and drove them out, and so those were the Medes, really if you go into the history. But what I said is basically I agree with that. I mean, I was just saying that they were also mingled amongst these right, because it was the Persians, it was and then the Medes, right? So Elam was there, and you got these other Shemitic, other sons of Shem, right? Which are now they just call themselves Arabs, you know. Um, so that's all I was saying, But I stand corrected, you know. And you gotta know when to take reproof, right? And that's what the elders are for, right? To right to expound more perfectly on the matter, right? Which there were some Jews back then, right? That was part of the command. It's like a command structure as well, right? But anyways, so verse 8 says, "Do not be afraid of their faces, because with thee am I to deliver thee, saith the Lord." Which reads, Al Tayara'a Mapanyaham Kaya Ataka Anya Laha Tazalka Naam Yahweh. And he sent the Lord unto his hand, and he touched um, upon my mouth, and he said the Lord unto me, Behold, I have placed words in your mouth, right? And the brothers got different stories on how they came into the truth, and you know when they received the Spirit, like the other in GMS South Carolina. He was explaining how something to the extent of he was the Lord touched him, and when he was sleeping, and that's how he received the Spirit. Me personally, it was uh it was actually, I saw the Spirit, right, one time, which was I never seen nothing like it when I learned about the truth. It looked like I saw it come down from the sky. I saw it. Well, I didn't see it come down. I saw it in the sky, and it looked like it wasn't like a shooting star or nothing like that. It was something like, kind of like when you see sparklers. They have those sparklers that Jake uses, like in 4th of July, right? When I first learned about the truth, I actually saw, I don't know what it was, and the Holy Spirit is not a dove. That's what Elder Apostle Hart said. It's not an actual dove. It's not an actual flame, right? These are descriptions, man-made descriptions, which, for example, John the Revelator, he he called missiles stars, right? Falling stars, but those were the missiles. So there's things you really can't describe, but it was something really real bright, and it looked like it was coming down, or it wasn't really descending, because I didn't see it descend all the way, touch the ground, and you know there was an explosion. No, it wasn't like that, but I saw it, and it was like something I never seen in my life, and I saw it in the sky, and it was really, uh it was marvelous, you know. But me personally, I think that's the same thing. The same thing happened to me. It was like it was in a dream, you know. but the Lord didn't touch my mouth, or it's probably an angel, but it touched my hand, and then and I don't know if it was in a dream or in a vision. I just I can't recall it, right? So these are different. So we all have different experiences, right? And but anyways, so it says Wayashalach Yahweh Atha Yadwa Wayagai Al Paya Waya Amar Yahweh Al Ya Hana Nathathya Dabarya Ba Payaka. Jeremiah, right? And you have the story about Ezra, the prophet Ezra, when he had those men, because Ezra's mission, if you go into the history, was to restore the law after it was burned up, and the Lord, via one of the angels, I believe it was Uriel. He told Ezra, he said, gather men and so that they may write, right, until right for days, right. And they gave him drink. He gave him like some kind of right. It described as like as a drink with a cup with fire in it. But again, that's the only way man was able to describe it at that time, right? Even today, there's things we can't really, right, because they're otherworldly things. They're not of this world, right? So verse 10 says, "See, I have appointed thee today this upon the nations, against the nations, and against dominions, to root up and uh, to break down and to destroy and to pull down, to build and to plant." Right now, this is because that's our job, right? To build upon the true doctrine of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? Which is the word, right? Not according to our own mind, not what we think, or this is I feel that this is what it says. The Lord never said that's how the word is supposed to go out, right? And like Elder Pastor says, we sometimes we give credit to you heathens, like Esau, he's built a great kingdom, right? Even though the Lord's gonna destroy you, damn devils, But even the other camps, when they're right, we tell them they're right. When they're wrong, when they go off, our job is to correct these false pastors, right? Sometimes, we rebuke the nations, we rebuke Esau, right? Which that's part of the gospel, right? Revelation chapter 11 says, right? It says not to teach the nations, right? That temple that which is without, measure it not, meaning this word, we're not here to teach the word to you nations, to you heathens. We're here to reach Jake, and that's it. But part of the gospel is pronouncing the judgment that the Lord is going to bring upon the other nations, right? Which is why it says, to root out, to pull down, to destroy, to throw down, to build, and to plant, because sometimes we build off what you nations have put out there already, like the Blue Letter Bible. Sometimes we go into the history, right? Sometimes we go into right. So we go into Esau's books. We go into Strong's Concordance. We go into the Hebrew Concordance. We might even go into some Aramaic, some Syriac, some Arabic, right? Or go into right, like I said, particular history if it pertains to the lesson or right what we're bringing out, right? So the next header of this chapter is the almond rod and boiling pot, which says here, and it came to pass the word of the Lord unto me to say, what dost thou see, Jeremiah? And I said, a rod of an almond tree, shaquad, that means an almond or almond tree. It says, I see Wayahaya Dabar Yahweh Aliyah La Amar Ma'atha Ra'ah Yaram Yahweh Wa Amar Makwal Shaquad Anya Ra'ah. Right? Now let's look that up. How fast does an almond tree bud? So it says an almond tree can take as long as 5 to 12 years to start producing almonds, but a mature almond tree can typically produce fruit for as many as 25 years, right? Right, which is the Lord, he's hastening the prophecies, right? As you see more false flags, more lies, more deception, more scare tactics, right? But the Lord is guiding us through it all, right? But Satan's job is to make it seem like to take control of the narrative, right? That's Satan's job, right? But just like I was recently going into the history on the crisis of the third century and Esau losing grip of his rule, Roman rule, right? So you had during that time you had a lot of the which was I believe from 230 BC or 230 AD to like 280. You had a lot of raids uh, from these barbaric tribes, and some of them were Jake, some of them were Edomites, right? Um, you had men that were usurping authority, that were in the Roman legion, right? Claiming the title of emperor, right? Let's get that real quick, actually. Salakia. Lessons within lessons. The, right, so that's what's going on with America Babylon the Great, right? There's a crisis going on, right? The infrastructure is outdated, right? The same thing that happened in Rome. sewage. The sewage wasn't updated, right? Which is why Isaiah chapter 14 says that the worm is spread up from under thee, right? And we're gonna read about it here as well, right? For example, so this is from Wikipedia. It says crisis of the 3rd century. It says also known as the military anarchy or imperial crisis, 235 284, right? In which the Roman Empire nearly collapsed under the combined pressure of repeated foreign invasions, civil wars, right? Because that's where you have divide of opinion as far as what the future of America, Babylon the Great is going to be, right? Because when right when you see a country, when its morals decay, when there's less and less order, you have foreign invaders that take advantage of that, right? And that this is what was going on, right? It says also an economic disintegration. At the height of the crisis, the Roman state has split into 3 distinct and competing polities. So let's read on down and see what else we can get. So it says the crisis began in 235 with the assassination of Emperor Severus Alexander by his own troops. During the following years, the empire saw barbarian invasions, migrations into Roman territory, civil wars, peasant rebellions, political instability, with multiple usurpers competing for power. This led to the debasement of currency and a breakdown in both trade networks and economic productivity, with the plague of Cyprian contributing to the disorder. Right, so you got a plague happening back then, right? It says the plague of Cyprian was a scandemic which affected the Roman Empire. Right, the plague is thought to have caused widespread manpower shortages for food production and the Roman army. So it says it was smallpox and measles, right? Salakia. So that's what was going on back then, right? And like Elder Pastor said, you know, they were using the coins that they were minting as well back then. They weren't using pure silver, right? So the currency lost its value, right? And that's what Esau does with it, with his RF, right? Or FRN, Salakia, which is a Federal Reserve note. So it says Roman armies became more reliant on time, on the growing influence of the barbarian mercenaries known as foederati, Roman commanders in the field, although nominally loyal to the state, became increasingly independent of Rome's central authority. It says during the crisis, there were at least 26 claimants of the title emperor, mostly prominent Roman generals who assumed imperial power over all or part of the empire, right? The same number of men became accepted by Roman Senate as emperor during this period, so they became legitimate emperors. Now, emperor is not the same as Caesar, as the Caesar. Emperor is like let's look that up real quick. Um, is Emperor the same as a Caesar? So the title emperor comes from the Latin word imperator, which was given to great Roman generals and meant commander, right? I thought that was interesting. But here's the main point is that let's go into the history. It says the army required larger bribes to remain loyal. Septimus Severus raised the pay of legionnaires and gave substantial donativum to the troops. The large and ongoing increase in military expenditure caused problems for all successors. His son Caracalla raised the annual pay and lavished many benefits on the army in accordance with the advice of his father to keep their loyalty. Right? So it says, instead of warring in foreign lands, the Roman Empire was increasingly put on the defensive by marauding enemies in civil wars. This cut off the essential source of income gained from plunder in enemy countries, while opening up the Roman countryside to economic devastation from looters, both foreign and domestic. Frequent civil wars contributed to the depletion of the army's manpower. Drafting replacement soldiers strained the labor force further. Fighting on multiple fronts, increased size and pay of the army, increasing costs of transport, populist, bread and circus, political campaigns, inefficient and corrupt tax collection, unorganized budgeting, and paying off from foreign nations for peace all contributed to the financial crisis. Because this is what happens when you have these weak leaders, right? That right, unlike Nero, right? He's going to be more more hands-on, right? But in recent history, that's what America, Babylon the Great's been doing, is pacifying these other nations, right? And which is why Biden, Sleepy Creepy Joe, Biden, he pulled the troops out, right? And that was a sign of a weakness, right? So it says, right, so bread and circuses, that's what you see today as well, right? So it says 235 many Roman legions have been defeated during the previous campaign against Germanic peoples raiding across the borders, while the Emperor Severus Alexander had focused primarily on the dangers from the Sassanid Empire, right? So there was raiding in these borders, but at the same time you had Roman commanders or legionnaires, right? Instead of taking care of the borders, they were fighting amongst themselves and claiming the usurping authority, right? Which that's in the history as well. Right, and you had mercenaries, which were hired of these other tribes, Germanic peoples, and right barbaric tribes. Um, says leading his troops personally, the emperor resorted to diplomacy and accepting tribute to pacify the Germanic chieftains quickly, rather than military conquest. Right. According to Herodian, this cost Severus Alexander the respect of his troops, who may have felt that more severe punishment was required for the tribes that have intruded in Rome's territory. Right, so his own troops assassinated him and proclaimed the new emperor Maximus Thrax a commander of one of the legions present. Right, so this led to a time with the barracks emperors, which means soldier emperor. Right, was a Roman emperor who seized power by virtue of his command of the army. Barracks emperors were especially common from 235 to 284 AD. Right, so it began with the assassination of Severus Alexander, beginning with Maximus Thrax. So there were about 14 barracks emperors in 33 years, which ruled a little over 2 years apiece, meaning 2 years, an average of 2 years each, before they were killed or poisoned. Right. So it says the resulting instability of the imperial office and a nearly constant state of civil war and insurrection threatened to destroy the Roman Empire from within, left the vulnerable to attack from external adversaries. Right. So these barracks emperors were low-class commoners. Right. Often from outlying parts of the empire. Right. Beginning as soldiers, these weren't noblemen. Right, which is ascendant to stain that because they considered these men commoners. Right. So it says a barracks emperor cannot boast of a distinguished family name or successful career as a statesman or public servant. Rather, he had only his military career to recommend himself. Right? So it says because the barracks emperors were frequently border commanders, the act of overthrowing the reigning emperor and seizing power for themselves left large gaps in the empire's border defenses that could be exploited by Rome's enemies. That led to the Germanic incursion into the Roman territory in the 260s, right? And resulted in the construction of Aurelian walls around Rome, which basically those were city walls, right? Which was an unprecedented thing because Rome never had that, right? But because of all these conflicts, internal conflicts, and um, economic crisis, uh, enemies from within, scamdemics, right? Uh, so let's go back. So these men operated as warlords, relying on the army to maintain power, right? But they struggled, right, to exert authority over the whole empire, right? And here's a list of the men, right? You have Maximus Thrax. He was killed by his own troops, right? Then in 238, Gordian I and Gordian II, they were declared co-emperor by popular demand. the first committed suicide after his defeat in battle against the governor of Numidia. His son, the second, says son and co-emperor Gordon first. So the second was killed in battle. Then you had these puppet co-emperors, Pupinius, Balbinus, which were set up by the Senate, right? So there was a rebellion, right? Like it says here, which they saw that as a rebellion. And the Gordian III, he was elected by Senate, right? But he was killed in battle by the Persians, and then Pupinius and Balbinus took over, which these were men set up by the Senate, right? Because they disdained these commoners getting into renowned positions, right? You have Sabinus, you have Philip the Arab, right? These men were, rose up to prominence, and they were basically just eventually destroyed, right? But anyways, I'm gonna go more into that history, Lord willing, another time. So let's see what else we got. Let's get back to the book of Jeremiah. Right? So the rod of an almond tree, right? That's just speaking on the Lord, hastening his word to perform it, which is the removal of Jake, right? From Jerusalem to Babylon, right? Verse 12 says, and he said, the Lord unto me, it is good. It is a good thing that which thou hast seen. Because will hasten I upon my word to perform it. Which that word shaquad means to watch, to be awake, to be alert, basically, right? To be watchful, right? Basically, the Lord is saying, because I will take good care to perform it, to perform what I am saying, right? So it says, why Mar Yahweh Aliyah Hayatabath La Ra'ath Kaya Shaquad Anya Al Dabarya La Ashatwa. And it came to pass the word of the Lord unto me, second time, to say, what dost thou see? And I said, a pot, seethen, which that word pach just means to breathe or to spread out. Just another way to say seed, to seethe, right? As in to boil. It's another way to say it, similar to boil, which that word is actually zayad, and it also means to be presumptuous. It says, I see, and its face, and it is turned towards the north, right? Wa Yahaya, Dabar Yahweh, Aliyah, Shanyath, La Amar, Ma, Atha, Ra'ah, Wa Amar, Sayor, Napach, Anya, Ra'ah, Wapanyawa, Mapanya, Tazabna. Verse 14, and he said the Lord unto me from the north, there is a opening of evil or breaking out of evil upon all the inhabitants of the land. By Amar Yahweh Aliyah, Ma Tazapan, Ta Pathach, Ha Raya, Al Kol, Yashabya, Ha Ratazah. Which is right, another name for America Babylon the Great, right? The land of the north, right? Um, so let's see, right, which is why Babylon is called the Great Whore, right? Which polluted the earth, right? Salakia, bear with me 1 second. And it was talking about back then too, because you had the Babylonians come in and, you know, so let's look at Jeremiah 1:14 commentary. See what we can glean off of that. Right, so that represented the destruction by the Chaldeans, right? But that's talking about Esau as well. Sometimes he's called the Assyrian, right? So it's talking about back then, but which you can quantify that. I believe that's the right word because in the next verse, so it applies to today as well. Because in verse 15, it says, "For lo, I will call all the families of the kingdoms of the north, saith the Lord. They shall come, and they shall set every one his throne at the entering of the gates of Jerusalem, against all the walls round about, against all the cities of Judah." So that applies to today as well, because Esau has what? Europe, America, Babylon the Great, right? Situated in the north quarters. His headquarters, Russia, right? So what happened? That happened back then, but even when the Lord brought the desolation, right? Now you got these other nations setting up shop there, mainly Esau, right? The 1948ers, because they're the ones who created that state, right? So they each have their own quarters, right? Like I believe Elder Apostle Har was bringing that up, you know. I think he's the one who brought it up where he was looking into it, and they got the ish quarters, they got Amalek, they got the Palestinians, they got these are nationalities there. Basically, This is what this verse is talking about. The heathen setting up shop after Jake got thrust out. You know. So it says, because behold, I will call unto all the families of the kings of the north, saith the Lord, and they shall enter, and they shall place a man his throne at the entering of the gates of Jerusalem, and upon all her walls round about, and upon all the cities of Judah. Right? Judah. Right? But now it's uh um yeah, I don't know how they say it. Esau or Yehudi, Salakia. You know? And that just means when you go into the Hebrew, it's actually Yahadiyah, which means a convert to the law, statutes, and commandments, right? To the ways and manners of the Jews, right? The biblical Jews, the real Jews, however you want to put it. That's what these nations. And it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same thing as right what Jake was following per the commandments. Right now you got, they set up these other books. They got these other books. Right, the law isn't. They don't actually follow the law if you actually go into it. Um, the small hats, the ish people, right? They follow. Their authority is under the Talmud and Kabbalah, right? Mumbo jumbo, right? Judaism is not the same as what you read about in the scriptures. That is their thing, right? Which is not based upon the laws, right? And they openly, right, and they blatantly deny the words of Moses, which is why Yahushua, when he came to the Pharisees, right, which that was back then, right, he says there's one that accuseth you, even Moses, because they were going off, but you can apply that to today, right? So these other religions they're exactly that. They're just they're man man made that, right? So when you say Yehudi or Yahadiyah, that just means a convert, but it's not the same, right, as uh right. And there's so many denominations. It's just it's utter, it's confusion, right? You may have some Orthodox, right, some of them, but for the most part, that they actually keep the laws, and but for the most part, their authority isn't based upon the Torah. We actually go into that history, and there's a book on that. Um, I gotta look it up. I got it in my laptop, and so they're not the people. They're not the people. You know, uh, those are heathens. But like I said, there's few of them that uh of Jake that's mingled amongst them, but for the most part they're heathens. You know. But anyways, and this isn't hate. This is we're giving you facts. You know, we reiterate right? What Esau already has out there, right? Because that's what they are. They're Edomites. Amalek. So it says, or Salak, yeah, I already read that. So it says, Kaya, Hanaya, Korah, Lakal, Mashapakath, Mamalakath, Tazapana, Naam Yahweh, Wa Ba'awa, Wa Nathanwa, Ayash, Kasa'awa, Patach, Sha'arya, Yerushalayim, Wa'al, Kol, Hamdaya, Sabyab, Wa'al, Kol, Arya, Yahawada. Verse 16, and I will speak of my judgments unto them upon all their wickedness which they have forsaken me, and I burn incense to gods others, and they have bowed down and they have served, which that word shatach means literally to bow down, or the worship of the works of their hands, which is talking about Jake, because Jake was going off big time, right? So when it says I water my judgments against them, that's talking about, right, Jake being cast away, right? Which is you can precept verse 15 with the time of the Gentiles to the Gentiles, the time of Gentiles be fulfilled. That's in the book of St. Luke, and other precepts as well, you know. So it reads, Wa Dabarthaya, Mashapatya Atham, Al Kol, Raitham, Ashar, Azabnaya, Waya Kotarwa, La Alhayim, Horyam, Waya Shatachwa, Ma'ashya, Yad Yahum. Salakia. And that's what the Lord is doing through us. He's speaking through us, which is via the word, and we're uttering the judgments that is coming to you, Jakes, 2/3, right? Verse 17. And thou shalt gird up your loins, and thou shalt rise, and thou shalt speak unto them, unto all which I have commanded thee. Do not be dismayed from their faces, lest I confound thee, which that word hath just means to be dismayed. Uh, Before them, which is Lapanyahum. So it says Wa'atha, Tha Azor, Matanyaka, Wakwamath, Wadabarath, Al Yahum, Atha, Kal Ashar, Anakya, Atazaka, Al Thachath, Mapanyahum, Pan, Achathka, meaning I confound thee, Lapanyahum. Verse 18, Salakia. I was charging my Lachath, which is a tablet. It means tablet, which is another way to say phone, right? which is charger would be ma barakath, which barak means lightning, which is right how you charge these batteries, which most of them are lithium ion batteries. And lithium, they used to put that in medication. That's an actual element which it's not good for you if you have too much of it in your body, right? And that's in food. It's natural occurring element in food, but it's also in these batteries, these electric vehicles, right? Which that's part of the plan is to get everyone to have everything right, electric and right when you're driving it, right? There's there's fumes associated with that when you charge your phone, right? There's fumes associated with that, right? Which is a very low levels, but if everything is you know with that type of right, you can't have too much of that in your body either, you know. And there's adverse effects associated with that. But anyways, verse 18 says, "And I, behold, I made thee today to a city fortified, and to a pillar of iron, and to walls brazen upon all the land of the kings of Judah, to her princes, to the people of the land." Right? So that's what the Lord prepared with this truth, an iron pillar. You read about that in Isaiah chapter 19. Right? The pillar represents the Revelation chapter 11. Right? And that terminology was used by Paul as well. Right? When he rebuked Apostle Peter, he says, "I perceive them to be pillars, but I had to rebuke him." Right? So that defense city, brazen walls, that's his truth. An iron pillar, which starts with the heads that our elders and apostles that we learn from, right? Which is why we give them the double honors, right? Gray millstone, Hebrew Israelites, which is in the Hebrew tongue, Gadal Rakat Aban, great milling stone. So it reads, "Wa anya hana nathatyaka hayam la ayor ma batazar wala imad barzal wala hamath nahashta nahashath al kol ha-rataza la malakya Yahuda la Sharia la Kahanya wa la'im ha-rataza." Verse 19, "And shall fight with thee unto thee, as in against thee, and they will not prevail unto thee, because with thee am I, saith the Lord, to deliver thee." Right? So that's what the Lord did. He because there was men trying to put Jeremiah to death. Right, the kings of Judah, they said, "Don't prophesy here. Go to go to another city and stay there. Do not come near the royal house." That's in one of the accounts. You know. So it says, "Wana lachamwa aliyaka wala'a yakalwa laka kaya ataka anya na'am Yahweh ha tazayalka." So with that, this is Jeremiah chapter 1, going into the Hebrew. It's probably a Tazadak here of Israel. And as always, Lord willing, you were edified, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Kwame Sha'ala, Abad Babal, Shalom. To you sincere Akim Nakwath. Shalom to the 144,000 and the great multitude as well. Men, women, and children of the nation of Israel. And stay focused and keep your head up. And let the scripture say, the Lord is your guide, and the guide of them keep my commandments and precepts. Right? Shalom, Brakatham, Tawadi Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahushai, Brakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahushai. Shalom.